Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Andrew Reviews, and welcome to a special crossover with Andrew Discusses. Yeah, it's true. I'm doing a crossover episode once again between my review show and my discussion show, and I'm grateful to be here, other me. Okay, look, this is creepy enough just doing me doing it, so having two of us is going to get annoying and confusing for them. Who's them? Them, the YouTube audience, the ones that listen to our videos and watch the stuff. Oh, hi everybody, I'm Discusses Andrew, and this is Review Andrew. We're here to talk about Toy Story 4. Hey, that was my line! Well, you didn't say it fast enough. Ugh, whatever. It's true, we're here to talk about Toy Story 4. And honestly, it's gonna be an interesting show. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy Andrew Discusses and Andrew Reviews. Okay, I'm taking over the reins for this, seriously. You're just gonna screw this up. Hey, fine, whatever. I'll go take a nap. Okay, so recently somebody had up the complete Toy Story 4 movie on YouTube, and because YouTube's copyright claim ID didn't take it down, which proves to me that it's busted beyond belief, but that's for another video for another day. Here, shut up, you! I'm gonna talk about it since I can now officially say that I have seen every single Toy Story that has ever been. And in all honesty, Toy Story 4 is a mixed bag of emotions for me, and none of them feel good. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with what Toy Story 4 actually is, let me give you a small rundown. Toy Story 3 was the quintessential conclusion to what was a very promising movie series. The original Toy Story movie opened up a world of CGI animation showing us the life of toys when humans aren't around. Toy Story 2 took that same premise to the next level by showing what could happen if one toy is in trouble, the others will come to aid them. And basically the greed of Al the Toy Barn guy, or Al Chicken Man Toy Barn, whatever you want to call him. But Toy Story 3 was the quintessential conclusion story. This was the growing up and putting aside your childish things to enter the world of adulthood. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I do apologize if I cough a lot. I'm starting to either catch a cold or my allergies are bugging me at the same time. So just apologizing now. But anyway, with Toy Story 3, the ending was sweet. It was just perfect. It was written well. It was executed perfectly. Not to mention the timing for it was just perfect with a lot of the people who had seen both the original Toy Story and the sequel movie graduating from high school, going off to college, and beginning to fulfill their life in other things. They would not be spending their days anymore doing what they were doing for the longest time. Instead, they would be off to enjoy the broader spectrum of the world. This was quintessentially what the third Toy Story movie was. It was a fond conclusion. A perfectly driven conclusion, too, if you will. And honestly, we didn't need the fourth movie. A couple specials, maybe a mini-series or a made-for-TV movie would have been fine. But a full-length feature film, we really didn't need. And I stand by that to this day. Especially after watching Toy Story 4, I definitely stand by this. Now, I would go through a shot-by-shot thing here with this, but the movie was like an hour and a half long on the YouTube channel. It's assuming it's no longer up anymore, which I'm taking a good guess because it wasn't in my history anymore, which is fine because YouTube's copyright claim should have saw that and flagged that bitch in a matter of seconds. I don't know why it didn't. But I got to see it, and I'm not exactly impressed with it. The movie opens with a flashback years prior when Andy, Buzz, and the rest of the gang were still owned by Andy. Sorry, Woody and the rest of the gang were still owned by Andy. And basically, they were trying to rescue RC, who was trapped outside in a rainstorm about to be washed away into the gutter. Which is probably a good indication of what happened to RC. Either he got chucked out one day in the trash because he stopped working or something happened. But that was an interesting show the viewers. This is what happened to some of the toys between the second movie and the third one, since that's where that definitely had to have taken place, since Jesse and Bullseye were there and they only joined Andy's side after the events of the second movie and prior to the third. So there was a neat little ambiance way, I guess you could say, of showing us what happened in between. And this also brought about the what happened to Bo Peep that a lot of fans speculated for the third movie. Some stating she was just put up for sale at a yard sale. Others said she broke and was shattered. But we know the truth now that Molly gave her up because she didn't need her anymore. Of course not. So Woody's now terrified and is trying to save Bo Peep, who's about to be taken away. And she says, no, this is for the best. Kids will grow up. You can't stay with the same kid forever. And in all honesty, things have to happen. So with that train of thought, if Woody would have done what he was thinking of at the start and gotten into the box with Bo Peep, the third movie would have been pretty damn different. Most of the other toys probably would have been destroyed when they snuck out to the daycare, and if they had managed to get to the incinerator, the trash chute, they just would have been destroyed. So, yeah, that was like really dark it went there, but okay, I get it. Anyway, the movie flashes back to present day where they're still with Bonnie, the girl that Andy gave the toys to at the end of the third movie, including Woody, his beloved cowboy doll. I'm not going to lie, the third movie brought tears to my eyes and it made me cry. And it's one of the few movies that ever has that distinct title of giving me the waterworks and actually making me cry my eyes out. It just hit home on so many levels for me, and honestly, none of those were really building up for this movie. Sure, it had some sad moments near the end, but not enough to really bring a crap ton of tears to my eyes, and honestly, it didn't have the same impact that Toy Story 3 had. But with Toy Story 4, I can understand it. But anyway, back to the story at hand. They're all playing in Bonnie's room, and most of the toys are in the closet because Mom's doing cleaning, with the one doll being the quintessential leader. It was never really an established hierarchy after the third movie of who was in charge. We could just have assumed from the specials that Woody was still in charge, seeing as he had the most experience with kids, as he was with Andy growing up, and now he's with Bonnie. However, in the fourth movie, it's shown that he is relegated to nothing. He is treated like dirt underneath this doll, apparently. And, well, Woody is not happy about it. Molly doesn't really play with him anymore, and in all honesty, she's just ignoring him. This brings us to the main point of this. Molly has to go to kindergarten. She doesn't want to go to kindergarten. In all honesty, I don't blame her. I have always stood by the theory, and honest to God, I stand by this to this day, that school is nothing more than an overglorified prison that they stick children in for 6+ hours a day. It is an overglorified prison. They tell you when to go to the bathroom, if you can go to the bathroom, you have to get permission. They tell you where to eat lunch, when to eat lunch, where to be during the day, and when you can come and when you can leave. The only difference is you get to go home at the end of the day and you get weekends off, not to mention a couple months in the summer. But still, it's an overglorified prison. And Molly has to go. This is also the first movie where we get a glimpse and an introduction to her father. And honestly, I'm going to side with the unicorn for a majority of the jokes in this. But I'll explain a little later. Molly has to go to kindergarten, and Woody thinks it might be a good idea if one of the toys goes along. However, no toys are allowed to go to kindergarten, apparently. Which I think is total bullshit, because I guarantee you at least 6 of those kids in that class have something in their backpack that they brought from home, and it's an action figure, a toy, or a doll, just to help comfort them through the day if they need it. Don't try that bullshit with me. Hell, when I went to kindergarten, I took an action figure with me a couple days. So yeah, don't even try that. I know better. However, Molly makes a new friend at, orientation for kindergarten in the form of Forky, the spork with, I'm assuming it's like clay for the part that holds the 2 broken half popsicle sticks together to the base, and a pipe cleaner for arms with googly eyes and something for the mouth. And Molly makes Forky, and she's happy because Forky can help her get through this. And after completing orientation, she thinks she's mastered kindergarten and she's done. However, Dad and Mom aren't having this. It's like, no, that wasn't the deal, sweetie. There was a deal? I don't remember at any point them saying, here's the deal, you have to go to school. I don't remember any part of that. Speaking of which, how old is Molly now at this point? Because if she doesn't want to go to school and interact with other people, homeschooling's not an option for you. Or better yet, and I'm just going to throw this one out in spitball, hold her back a year and let her go the next year. Make her prepared mentally for a year, then send her. Or is this you're forced to send her because she's at a certain age or a certain height like I was in school? If that's the case, I feel more pity for her now than I did beforehand. But I digress. They decide to tell Molly that they have a present for her, a reward, so to speak. Because school doesn't technically start for another week, they're going to take a little vacation. First off, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. School starts in a week, and you're telling the girl who just figured out and thought she mastered kindergarten, doesn't have to come back anymore, that she's going to have to come back in a week and spend the rest of her life going to public school. Congratulations, you are officially the worst parents around. Oh wait, no, that prize goes to dear old Dad, who basically steps on Woody and could care less about the fun stuff his daughter's imagination is giving. Yeah, prize for worst father of the year definitely goes to him. I'm not even going to lie. However, the family goes on a vacation, and Woody comes back from the first day of kindergarten, immediately getting berated by the doll that's in charge of Bonnie's room. And Woody goes, no, it's fine. She didn't get in any trouble, after he was belittled and berated for possibly almost getting confiscated if he had been found out. So, of course, and this is the fun part, he introduces Forky. Forky, who wants to be in the trash. Forky, who wants to go to the trash. Forky, who wants to spend the rest of his life in the trash. Woody could just tell him, this is what the trash center's like. You're not going to like it. We've been there. And that would probably scare the living shit out of the little fork. But since I guess they don't want to have any consistency between the events of Toy Story 3 and this movie, besides small little cameos here and there, and the hint of it from the opening intro with the time lapse of Andy growing up, yeah, sure, I'll go with that. Whatever. That was something that I'm pretty sure they have never shaken the mental scars of, but yeah, sure, why not? We'll go with that. Anyway, the family goes on vacation, and Woody is stuck basically guarding Forky, who wants to go into the trash can regardless. Woody tells everybody that Bonnie needs Forky right now more than anything, and honestly, he's not lying. The rest of the trip basically consists of Forky trying to kill himself in the aspects of, I'm going to throw myself in the trash can, and eventually culminates to the point where he just jumps out the window of the moving RV on the highway. This prompts Woody to jump out after him and walk 5 miles to basically the RV park where they're staying at, which is right in a small town, or right near a small town where there's a carnival going on, and that's right across the street from, you guessed it, an antique shop where Bo Peep's lamp is. This prompts Woody to go inside to see if Bo Peep might be in there, and we're introduced to, I have to admit, one of the worst villains of this entire movie, Gabby Gabby. Now, look, I've been adamant about villains and stuff for years. The first movie, you had Sid. Sid was a psychotic little pain in the ass that was going to blow up Buzz Lightyear, and not to mention deep fry and barbecue Woody. He was a psychopath to his toys, and it came back to bite him hard in the ass. And if the rumors are true, and the fan theories are true, and the garbage guy from the third movie was actually Sid all grown up, that's amazing that he's not going nuts and cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. More power to you. The second movie's villain was Al, the toy barn man who stole Woody in the first place, but Stinky Pete, who wanted to go to Japan and spend the rest of his life on display, because there's no point in being a psychotic nut job if you're voiced by Kelsey Grammer. But come on, he does one hell of a good Sideshow Bob on The Simpsons. Of course he's going to play a psychotic nut job in a kid's movie. The villain from the third movie was Lotso, who honestly does the role of a mafia boss much better in the third movie than Gabby Gabby does in the fourth movie. And that's saying something. She's assisted by her ventriloquist dummies by the name of Benson. They're all named Benson, apparently. I don't understand why. But they're all the same ventriloquist dummy in a way, which is even more creepy. Antiques and all, but still creepy. Woody talks with her thinking that she might know where Bo Peep is. However, she has other plans. See, she wants a voice box that works. Hers is defective right out of the box. And she wants it more than anything. Her record still plays, but her voice box is busted. She wants Woody's, and Woody's is sewn inside of him. So, of course, she's not getting it. No way in hell is she getting it. However, after he and Forky attempt to escape, which doesn't go very well, Forky gets captured and Woody's freed. Woody ends up at the park, courtesy of the antique owner's granddaughter taking him, dropping him at the park, and yeah. You kind of see she's a dick towards toys in a way, because she just leaves him at the park, doesn't really care, but she wanted him in the first place, and Grandma said, yeah, take him, because nobody buys the toys in this place. Well, yeah, that's a perfect business strategy. Give him off to your granddaughter, because in that space where you can put something that might actually sell. You know, it's an antique. Lots of people could probably look that stuff up on eBay. Seriously. Whatever. Anyway, since Forky's still at the antique shop, Woody wants to head back there. But Woody's basically reunited with Bo Peep, who is a lost toy in a way. But she's a lost toy on a mission. Her mission? To see the great wide world. And she wants Woody to come with her. After being reunited with the three goats, Billy, Goat, and Gruff, which I honestly didn't even know they had names either, and they were only mentioned one time in this movie, not in the other three. Well, at least the other two. She wasn't even in the third movie because by that point in time, she was gone. So, yeah. What? Okay, whatever. Don't care. Anyway, she doesn't want to go back to the antique shop. She spent too much time in there. Gabby's a pain in the ass, but Woody wants to go in because Forky's in there. And it's his one job anymore to get Forky back to Bonnie. Especially now that Forky realizes he is a toy. He is a creation of Bonnie's imagination. You got that right? Seriously, just go back to sleep, okay? I'm in the middle of something. Anyway, Woody ends up getting back to the antique shop, trying to bust Forky out, and it doesn't go that well. They manage to escape, barely, but Woody wants to go back in because he's not going to leave a toy behind. Buzz Lightyear has decided he's going to try his best to help his friend because he's listening to his inner voice. Or in this case, the button voice commands that he has, which apparently are syncing with the current mood. Annoying as all hell, I'm not going to lie, but still stupid nonetheless. You take a character that's quintessential in the last three movies, not to mention the two specials that aired between this, or at least one of the two specials that aired in between the movies, and you relegate him to comic relief. Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. What the hell? Just ignore the other characters. Granted, okay, we can't get much out of Potato Head because Don Rickles is gone, but still, there's so much we could have here bringing to the table with some of the other still alive characters and voices that could come to the table and give us more. Okay, you know what? Screw it. Let's just get back to the movie. So, Woody goes back in, gets caught by Gabby again, and agrees to give her his voice box so long as she gives him Forky. She agrees. Woody loses his voice box to her, also that she can try to get with the store owner's granddaughter. She's persistent that that is her child and will always be because she's watched her from afar. However, even with Woody's voice box, she's still not taken. She's not impressive enough. She's not fancy enough. And in all honesty, the granddaughter just looks at it and goes, no, I don't want it. And that's the end of it. I don't know if Mom had told her stop picking up toys in Grandma's antique store. We don't want her to lose money, so don't take any more of her toys. Or if she really just didn't like her prior to this. I can't tell what that was, but I'm assuming it was probably the latter more than the former because Mom kind of had a problem with that when she took Woody, which wasn't even a toy at the antique shop to begin with. Yeah. And too bad Grandma didn't see that toy and have an eBay page, or otherwise she would be like the guy from the one special that almost made a mint. That was funny. Anyway, and this is the sad part here. Woody escapes with Forky because Bonnie left her backpack at the antique store, of which Buzz Lightyear is trying to alert them by constantly annoying the family with his buttons to get their attention going, her backpack, before finally just yelling it in a closet that he's being shoved into with Mom, Bonnie's mom that is, having her hand around him, pushing him into the closet, and he finally yells, "Your backpack's at the antique store!" And yeah, so they have to go back to get the backpack. Again, dear old dad's like, okay, let's go back. This after they managed to puncture the tire to keep them there so Woody could get back. Not to mention all the other stuff they're going to do to this poor guy, which, by the way, he deserves. I'm not even going to lie. He deserves what's coming to him in this. Every piece of it. But the movie itself takes a complete and massive 180 here when it basically comes down to Woody wanting to leave or be reunited with Bo. In this case, he's going to take Gabby with them, figuring that Bonnie can just have a new toy. However, along the way, they find a lost child wandering, stuck in one portion of the carnival, and figure that this is Gabby's chance. That if she can bring light to this child, that it might help her. And Gabby was the one that noticed her to begin with, so yeah, it worked out that way. And of course, this works. Of course, with the help of the two most annoying characters you could ever find for a Toy Story movie, two prizes from the carnival that were going after Buzz Lightyear because some drunk hippie came out of the porta potty, saw him on the ground and figured, hey, somebody dropped the toy, I'm going to hang it up on here. That's good old carny folk idea right there. And I do apologize to anybody that works at a carnival, but that's kind of low balls right there. I mean, somebody could easily walk up and go, hey, that's my Buzz Lightyear. Oh, look at that. You instantly get arrested for theft, jackass. Anyway, these two named, ironically, Bunny and Ducky, go figure, attempt to kick Buzz Lightyear's ass. That goes about as well as you could imagine. Yeah, it doesn't. Anyway, that's pretty much the movie. The gang dragged the RV back to the carousel where Woody wants to reunite with his friends. However, Buzz realizes that Woody's going to be miserable with Bonnie anymore. He's no longer the top-tier toy. He's no longer the head cheese of this. And in all honesty, Bonnie doesn't want him. And he has a chance to go with Bo. To which Buzz Lightyear says the infamous words, she'll be okay. Woody thinking that he's talking about Bo Peep until he goes, Bonnie will be okay. Realizing that this is going to be the last and final time they're ever going to see their friend. After all the shit's done with Dad probably getting a couple $1,000 fine for driving his RV erratically through town and basically almost driving it into the carnival, which, yeah, he's looking at a fine there. Again, all things coming to him. The gang leaves with Woody and Bo looking out at the top of the carousel as the RV drives off down the highway, to which Buzz Lightyear and Jessie are looking back, everyone in the RV asking, especially Rex asking if Woody's now a lost toy, and Buzz goes, no, he's not a lost toy. And he goes, to infinity, to which Woody replies at the end, and beyond. And thus, we come to the end of Toy Story 4. And even with the post-credit stuff that goes on during the credits with some of the carnival toys rescuing the other toys, it's still it's an unwarranted movie, okay? Just flat out. I mean, philosophically, if we really want to dig into this thing, the third movie basically was the growing up of the child inside you. With the fourth movie being the now you have to just let go of the last and final thing that held you back. Woody could have just went off with Andy, which is what Andy wanted. Andy didn't want to give Woody up in the third movie. It was Bonnie who basically went and said, my cowboy doll, and wanted Woody to stay with her. Andy wanted Woody to go with him to college because, well, Woody was there for him his entire life. Andy was starting something new, and he wanted Woody to be a part of it. He wanted Woody to stay with him. Regardless of what would have happened in the future, he wanted Woody to be there with him. Because Woody was his childhood friend. But it made sense that Andy had to give Woody up. And leave his childish self behind and grow up and go off to better and brighter things. This movie, on the other hand, forces all of its drama onto you from the start of it with very little in the way of comic relief to break up the tension. What little there is a decent amount, but in all honesty, it's not enough to really drive home the point that this movie was a warranted movie. This would have been a better off as a made-for-TV movie or an entire little mini-series that they could have just spanned out over an entire week. That would have been a little cheaper to make, and they could have gone with a little better of a direction than what they went. The movie itself wasn't that well thought out in terms of pacing and, well, pacing in general. You start off with Bonnie having to go to kindergarten, to the family going on a vacation, to Woody now being in charge of Forky for the vacation, to Woody wants to find Bo, to Woody wants to rescue Forky, to Woody wants to get Forky back to Bonnie, to Woody wants to be with Bo. It's one massive, humongous, constant train of events that doesn't slow down at any point. And while it's not a bad thing for some movies, it's a horrible thing when it happens to a movie that has such well-defined characters. Which brings me to my next point of contention for this movie, which is you stuck the good characters as comic relief. Buzz Lightyear is degraded and basically berated down to comic relief, barely doing anything in this movie out of the ordinary. I mean, him and Jessie basically are about the only two that have the most airtime aside from Woody. You could have just entitled this movie Woody's Final Adventure, and it would have spelled out what was going to happen in this movie prior to you watching the first couple minutes. They practically told you what this movie was going to be about within the first 15 minutes of the movie. It was going to be Woody's Final Adventure. Woody was not going to be sticking around to the end of this movie with the rest of the gang. He was going to be done. So they've eliminated any possible ideas for a fifth movie, which first off, thank God for that, because we don't need a fifth movie. We didn't even need this one, to be honest with you. I know that a lot of reviewers have said that Toy Story 4 was quintessentially an actual Toy Story, the story from the toys' point of view. But it's not exactly true. All three of the movies prior were from the toys' point of view. The point of view being that they're toys. They have a child they want to be with. They have some place they want to go. For the second movie, it was basically, we want to, save our friend because our kid's going to miss him. The third one was coming with the acceptance that their kid's growing up, and then at the end of the movie, finding acceptance with a new kid to help them be loved and cherished like their old one did. But what really bugs me is that with the first movie, we had the quintessential, basically existential crisis that Buzz Lightyear had of, I am not a toy, I'm the Space Ranger. And we're right back to that again with Forky being, I'm trash, not a toy. If you wanted to do a carbon copy restart of the Toy Story franchise, I would have tried a different route than this. But having Woody basically be this, I'm tired of being the voice of reason for 90% of this, and now I'm stuck with this, is a problemsome conclusion to anything, and it pisses me off yet. The fact that you had a really piss-poor villain in this, which really you had no villain in this if you think about it. Gabby got her comeuppance really quickly and still managed to have a happy ending. She was basically a piss-poor villain in this. You figure a maniacal villain would have basically been the fact that Woody was the maniacal villain. Or to affect Bonnie because she didn't care about Woody anymore. Or dear old dad who was just a dick to Woody and a dick to Bonnie at that case. It definitely shows you that the people at Pixar do not know how to write a father role, since of course Andy didn't have a father in the three movies that we had. And now all of a sudden we're introduced to Bonnie's dad, whom we knew nothing about prior to this. I don't remember him being in either of the two specials that came out. Toy Story of Terror or that Christmas one. I don't remember him being in either of those. So why all of a sudden do we have Bonnie's dad in this? Which confuses me. He takes charge of this whole thing, basically being that I'm the one in charge, you'll do what I say, that's the end of it. Bonnie's upset at the fact she has to go to kindergarten. What do you tell her? You gotta go to kindergarten. No. Try to comfort her. Tell her some of the good things that could happen. Tell her, that, it's okay. You have to do this. Everybody has to. I had to. Try to make the kid feel a little less scared than what you're doing. She goes, can I take a toy with me? You could have said one small toy. You could take one small toy with you. She could have took the doll that basically is in charge of the whole damn room. That could have given her comfort. Something. No, she invents Forky. And even the mom kind of starts getting uppity about this. But you can tell the dad was getting more and more pissed when they have to try to look for Forky. He could have given two craps about his kid's self-esteem or her mental state. All he cared about was, I got to get this RV back. It's a goddamn rental. I got to get her ready for school. I don't care about your stupid little spork. And that's the way it came off. That's why I said I agree with the unicorn when the unicorn said, well, we could just frame dad for a crime and get him thrown in jail. Yeah, it sounds like a plan. I'm really sorry to say it, but the unicorn had the right idea. The dad's a dick in this movie. The mom's not better off either. And she came off pretty much as a nicer version of Andy's mom. And Andy's mom was already nice to begin with. She hardly did anything evil in the 3 movies that she was in. Bonnie's mom at least was caring and compassionate from the start, and we could tell that. But, of course, it's a little child. Your patience is going to wear thin, but for God's sake, it's your own kid. You can't tell me that you're going to get worn out and tired at your own kid's antics. That's horrible. But, yeah, it goes on like this from the parents' perspective throughout the movie. They could care less about their daughter's well-being. They could care less about her mental state. All they care about is we're on a vacation. She has to start school in a week. This should help shut her up so she'll go to school and be done with it. Whereas when she came back, she really didn't care that she had to go back to school. Because you said we're going on a vacation. If you would have just told her, hey, we have some good news. You only have to go to kindergarten for half the day or something. She probably would have been even more excited. You try sugarcoating this, but you're basically telling her, you have to go to school. You have no choice. You didn't tell her, and I remember no point in this, them ever saying the phrase, oh, well, that's not the deal. The deal is you have to go to school. I don't remember them ever saying you have to go to school. No. The fact that we're introduced to a crap ton of toys inside the antique store, it's all basically crap. Even Keanu Reeves' character, that Kaboom, or whatever the hell he was, that motorcycle stunt thing, it's basically upset because his kid didn't want him because he couldn't jump through the ring of fire. Did it ever occur to you that the kid didn't do it right? That he had to wind you a couple more times, then put you on the pedestal, then hit the button and have it go? Because the 2 times you were in this, you flew well over the distance that little bastard was trying to have you go in your flashback. So that's bullshit to begin with. That's the whole point of this movie, is bullshit. 90% of this is bullshit. That's the problem. The only thing you can really feel sorry for, I feel sorry for Woody. I feel really sorry for Buzz Lightyear. I feel sorry for all of Andy's toys because they're stuck in this nightmare. They could have had themselves a fun time up in the attic. Sure, Mom probably would have sold them at some point down the road or held them for Andy for his kids, which would have been a much better 4 movie if we would have really wanted to go this route. Toy Story 4, The Next Generation. Andy's kids find Andy's old toys. The cycle continues. But I will admit, I liked the ending of Toy Story 3. It did bring tears to my eyes. But in all honesty, we could have just usurped that by having Woody go with Andy to college at the end of the movie and bid goodbye to his friends and go forward onto his own new journey. Toy Story 4 would never have had to happen, which should have not happened in the first place. This was a not welcome movie. Trailer aside, which was stupid to begin with, that teaser trailer we got with them dancing around in a circle to Forky having a freak out because he's a freaking toy and he doesn't want to be a toy, to them finding Bo Peep, which came completely out of left field throughout any of this. They could have just had this be Bonnie created a toy and we finally could have got some answers as to how the toys came to life in the first place. No, it's Bonnie creates a new toy. We don't know anything about how the hell that toy even manifested consciousness, not to mention sentience, for God's sake. And then let's just dive right into, oh, look, it's Bo Peep. Hey, screw off. Now, this movie is a horrible movie. It should never have seen the light of day, and I'd swear to it that it does not ever need to see the light of day again. This is one movie that I will gladly give my lowest rating I could ever give for anything I will ever review. This gets a 2. A 2! Oh, screw it. It gets a 1. I'm sorry. I would give it a 2 if the plot would have at least been good. The plot was all over the goddamn place. The story made no sense whatsoever. Besides the fact that Woody feels unwelcomed and wants something else out of life. That's all it was. You could have did that as a damn made-for-TV movie or a mini-series on TV or as another special and been done with it. If you seriously sit down and look at it, I guarantee you most of Woody's I'm a toy, but I need a kid, but now I don't need a kid because the kid that I have now doesn't want to play with me. The rest of the toys hate me. Screw it. I would have just looked at that as a 30, 45 minute, maybe even an hour-long made-for-TV special and been done with it. That could have been Toy Story 4 in a nutshell. Was a made-for-TV special. This was not welcomed at all. Sure, okay, it looked beautiful. If that's really all there is to it, you're painting a giant mothball-eaten piece of crap. Oh, visually it's beautiful. Yeah, I'm not going to deny visually it's beautiful. Here's a newsflash for you. I don't care how beautiful it looks if there's no thing to look at. Oh, well, look at the beautiful pictures. What are they doing? How the hell should I know? But isn't it beautiful? At least with pictures, you know what you're looking at. Take a look at a Bob Ross painting. You can just imagine everything that's happening there. If it's a forest picture, you can imagine the water moving. You can imagine the trees telling a tale, the grass moving, the bushes rustling. With Toy Story 4, it's beautiful background, and it's ghosting a story that makes no sense. It's all over the place from start to finish. It sucks in general. Dad's an asshole. I just can't stand this movie. I was not a fan of it going into it, but I went into it anyway, and I really regret that I wasted an hour and a half of my life that I'd really like back. And I apologize for sucking up 30-some minutes, almost 40 minutes of your life by explaining this movie. I don't really know what else to say. If you want to discuss this thing, yeah, okay, discussion-wise, it's basically Woody's final adventure. It's the coming of tale for Woody, the closure to him, which we had at the end of the third movie, because he was Andy's toy. Andy went off to college, and now he's Bonnie's toy. If you want the cycle to repeat itself, then make the cycle repeat itself. If you want to have a decent movie, don't carbon copy parts from the first movie, put a new coat of paint on it, and call it a fourth movie. You could have easily had Bonnie gave Andy back Woody. Or, Woody found his way to Andy somehow. That would have been a much better movie. Maybe that could be another made-for-TV special. Woody finds Andy, and Woody and Bo Peep spend the rest of their life with Andy. But no, we're not going to have that because they're traveling with the carnival now. That's what they want to do so that they can see the world. That's fine. But you're building up this massive, and I mean massive, heartfelt ending that just falls flat on its face. Sure, I could feel the tears trying to well up when Buzz Lightyear was saying his final goodbye as they're going down the highway and Woody's still at the carnival. Yeah, you kind of feel it, but the fact that there's a 9-year gap between the third and fourth movie coming out, honestly, I'm just going to say it doesn't work anymore, especially not for what it is. If you had been riding this train maybe 5 years after the third movie, it would have worked. 9 years, forget it. The people that watch the third movie aren't going to really want to cry again because you've basically brought them to the mental conclusion that the third movie gave them. And the ones going into the fourth movie are basically getting a rehash of the first movie with a new coat of paint on it. The fact that Woody is now relegated to the second banana, basically, as he doesn't really have much say, if any, in Bonnie's room. Sure, go for it. What the hell? I give the hell up with this. I really do. Please, Pixar, I beg of you, I'm on my hands and knees here. I beg of you, do not make another Toy Story movie. If you want to make anything else Toy Story related, I highly recommend made-for-TV specials, a mini-series. If you really want to piss money down the toilet, make a made-for-TV movie. Or better yet, just give it to me. I'll gladly take it and stop this stupid madness to begin with. Toy Story 4 was not needed. End of discussion. I'm Andrew Rhodes. I seriously need something to wipe this out of my goddamn mind. Toy Story 4 fails epically. Epic fail. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I never will like it. And if I'm misreading this and you liked it, to each their own. If you liked it, more power to you. I saw the first 3 movies. I saw the 2 specials. This movie does not fit any of the criteria of the Toy Story franchise. This basically just has a Toy Story name on it with nothing else. I'm Andrew Rhodes. I'm done. Thank you for tuning in for Andrew Reviews X Andrew Discussions. I gotta go wake up Discussion Me so that I can throw his ass out. You all have a nice day.